One moment. Okay, we're now live.
Great. Just start sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Yep.
Yep.
All right. I now call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to ANC 1E's January General Body Meeting. A few administrative notes as we get started. Today's meeting is being recorded. Closed caption is available for each user by clicking the button on the toolbar below. Please submit questions through the Q&A function, also located on the toolbar below. Commissioners will be keeping an eye on the Q&A throughout the evening. If you're calling in rather than participating through the web, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. I'll now ask Secretary Jacobson to please conduct the roll.
Thank you, Chair Footer. I'll now conduct the roll. Commissioner Gallagher. Oh, Commissioner Gallagher is loading, so I'll come back to him. Commissioner Lancaster. Commissioner Lancaster is not present. Commissioner Ray.
Present.
Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Brown is not present. Commissioner Newland.
Present.
Commissioner Jacobson, that's me, present. Commissioner Footer.
Present.
And Commissioner Gallagher.
Present.
All right, with 5 of 7 seated commissioners in attendance, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Per DC law, the ANC 1E meeting was noticed to the community via listserv, social media, website, and e-calendar. Now we will move on to the approval of our agenda. Just to read through it very quickly, we will start off with the consent agenda, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on here, which I will read when we get to that. Then we will move on to community announcements and presentations, which we have a guest speaker with us tonight, and then our normal representatives from the government. Then we'll move on to official business and committee updates, which we have 2 resolutions under consideration this evening. And then we will move on to executive officer elections and committee chair appointments. Are there any additions to the agenda that commissioners would like to add or edit?
I'll just make a note. I don't think that it really matters, but the ORM testimony, I don't think is actually part of the TPS committee. It wasn't anything that we had talked about, and it's separate from the charge for the TPS committee.
Okay. I mean, if you don't mind, we'll keep it there just as it's.
Yep.
Okay.
Just wanted to make a note for others.
Any other edits or additions? All right. Hearing none, I'll now accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion with unanimous consent that we accept the agenda as written.
Thank you very much. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is approved. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Just a reminder, all matters listed under the consent are considered by the commission to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any commissioner may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request. The consent agenda this evening consists of approval of the November 2023 ANC public meeting minutes, approval of ANC 1E's participation in the ANC Security Fund, the treasurer to write a check to the ANC Security Fund in the amount of $50, and a letter of approval of participation in the 2024 ANC Security Fund. This is a routine matter that we must do. Approval of ANC 1E's quarterly financial report for fiscal year 24, Q1. Approval of ANC 1E's general public meeting and committee of the whole calendar for 2024. And approval of amendments to the SOPs as listed in the January 2024 meeting materials. Is there anything that commissioners would like to move out of the consent agenda for us to consider later as they might have questions or want to take a deeper look at? Right. Hearing none, I will now accept a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the consent agenda as written.
Thank you very much. Is there any dissent? All right, hearing none, the motion passes and the items in the consent agenda are approved or adopted. All right, now moving to community announcements and presentations. Commissioners and members of the community can use this time to make public announcements, distribute information, or alert the community about issues. For members of the public, if you are here to discuss an item listed under official business, please hold your comments until we get to that item later on the agenda. We'll start with a special guest, Mr. Christopher Dyer from the Department of Parks and Recreation, who will have 5 minutes to present and then take questions from the commissioners and the public. Next, we will move to announcements from commissioners, then the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, also known as MOCRS, then the representative from Councilmember Brianne Nadeau's office, and then members of the public. All speakers will have 3 minutes. With that, can we bring Christopher Dyer to the panel?
He's being promoted.
Great. Good evening, Ms. Dyer. If you can hear us, you are maybe on mute.
That would help if I took
Yes.
myself off of. I am going to try to figure out how to share my wonderful slide deck. It is, oh, there we go. Cute. There we go. You would think that by now I would learn how to present on a Zoom call. Actually, I did. It was just you have a very interesting Zoom app that you're using. Anyway, it's not Commissioner Footer. It's great to see you in person. Commissioner Jacobson, thank you for all the emails you send me. It is wonderful. And Commissioner Ray, I'm looking forward to more information about Parkview. But before we do that, let's just start. Quick overview for those of you who have never seen the presentation before. So anyway, by the way, I'm Christopher Dyer. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. One of my primary responsibilities is to be the primary liaison to the advisory neighborhood commissions and civic associations, which is why I'm here tonight and delighted to be here. I've been with the agency for about 3 years. It's one of the most fun places to work. So and of course I'm biased, but we bring the fun in all 8 wards. We are the #1 park ranked system in the country. We host programs and events year round in 244 sites across 900 acres of green space in all 8 wards. And we have up to 100 plus different capital improvement projects in our construction pipeline, including the Parkview Recreation Center renovation. So here are the sites, some of the sites in ANC 1E, the Banneker Field Pool. The pool is actually our most used pool in the system. So thank you guys. Bruce Monroe Park, Casey Lewis, and Parkview Recreation Center. I want to share with you some basic some of the websites that are very helpful to find out where we're programming. If you go to dpr.events, it'll have a list of all the upcoming events at DPR. dprprograms.com has information on all the programs, including how to sign up. dpr.dc.gov/locations. You can find a location of the DPR facility and, of course, our permits page. Finally, dpr.dc.gov/ at the locations page, by the way, if you click on a specific website, you should be able, or a specific recreation center, you'll be able to find information about what kind of programs are being offered at that site, including permits that have been issued. You can also go to dpr.dc.gov/DPR calendar for information about that as well. DPR programs. This is our main website that you use to sign up for programs. We do registration. We have programs in 4 seasons across the year round. The next registration dates for our spring sessions are on March 1st and 2nd, 2024. The first day will be for aquatics, which is very popular. And then on March 2nd, there'll be registration for other programs, including out of school time, afternoon access, and pickleball, which seems to become a growing popular support. Finally, the main reason I'm here tonight is we are going to do our summer camp registration starting on February 12th. The summer lottery camp opens on Monday, January 29th. All of our camp offerings will be posted online. Commissioners, when you go to your inbox, you'll see you've gotten an email from me with all this information. Please feel free to share that with your constituents. We will also be probably giving you more information specifically as the lottery opens. So and for those of you who are at home, you can go to dprsummercamp.com for all of the updates. We're looking forward to you guys participating, and we will be doing a lottery this year, and we're super excited. The other interesting thing, we just released our Ready to Play program plan, which is our capital improvement plan for the next 20 years. That provides sort of a framework of how we are going to do our capital investments across the city. So feel free to go to readytoplaydc.com to see the plan. Finally, another interesting piece, permits. DPR requires a permit for any organized activity of up to 10 or more participants in any facility. If you can go to dpr.dc.gov/permits or call 202-673-7647 for complete information on how to get a permit. Please give us a couple of weeks notice in advance. We do have a time to process. Also, for those of you who don't know, maintenance issues. If you we partner with the Department of General Services is responsible for the maintenance of all of our sites. They are now accepting service requests through the mayor's 311 call center for a variety of things. You can also email me at christopher.dyer@dc.gov if you have a service question. And as always, when you see something, please take a picture. It helps us a great deal with opening up tickets. So that is the end of my presentation. If you have any additional questions on DPR activities or need any assistance with a specific issue, you can contact me at the Department of Parks and Rec. 202-702-9453 is the cell. That's 202-702-9453. And the email is christopher.dyer@dc.gov. Commissioners, I want to thank you for your service. I also am an ANC commissioner as well, because, I just don't have enough time. I just don't have enough fun in life. I really appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and I look forward to answering any questions you may have in the committee. And thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. I see that Commissioner Jacobson, you have a question?
Two comments, because I'm annoying like that. The first comment is I just wanted to thank Mr. Dyer for all the help. I email him a lot, and he's been very helpful and much more helpful than a lot of other agencies. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing at DPR. And the other thing that I just want to note, DGS has told me that they're planning to put a diving board back at Banneker this summer. I've had a lot of people ask me about that because Banneker's in my SMD. So I'm going to keep reminding DGS that they said that there's going to be a diving board back this summer.
Yes.
But if you end up talking to anyone internally about Banneker, just reiterate that we all are excited for the diving board coming back.
I imagine that you are not the only that message is getting delivered in many wonderful ways. And also, by the way, thank you for all your emails. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. It gets me into the old-fashioned school of service. So that's what we're here for.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Ray.
Since Christopher, thanks for joining us tonight. I did wonder, since you brought up pickleball, the mayor's budget included adding some new courts. Have they made an announcement, or are you aware of any announcements on where those might be? Is anything considered for Ward 1?
We have, oh, by the way, just in case you did not know, we finally are offering indoor pickleball at Columbia Heights during the day, during the workday. I don't know if we're going to be able to offer that in the summer because we use that rec center as the primary summer camp site. In terms of the pickleball strategy, we are in the process of reviewing what we're going to be doing. We have not made any final decisions. I think that a DPR pickleball survey will be coming out soon as part of this assessment. And again, once we start making decisions on where we're going to put things in, we know that there is a deficiency in Ward 1. I don't know if there are any specific plans. Also, your hand raised up reminded me to let you know that we will be releasing a survey for the Park View Recreation Center pretty soon. I just have to make sure that the Survey Monkey works. And that's been on my list to try to get that out as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that and make sure that it gets widely distributed. Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Commissioners, any other questions? I have a couple. Awesome. So just piggybacking off the pickleball, I know that you're very aware of the work that we've been doing around Casey Lewis fields, and next month the ANC committee is going to be taking up the resolution, and the ANC will vote on it next month. And just to kind of highlight, and I know you're fully aware, but just kind of highlight to everybody, we've been doing a lot of legwork and trying to get the community involved, did a survey, been going to PTOs and a variety of other groups. The reason that it's not part of the conversation tonight is because we wanted to allow the public an opportunity to take a look at the resolution, because it has a number of recommendations, one of which is around pickleball. But we'll see if the community continues to support that. So my questions around pickleball are kind of twofold. One, can you, if you're familiar, can you tell us a little bit about the noise issues that kind of come with pickleball that we've been hearing?
I am not personally familiar because, I don't play it, but I've heard there have been, of course, obvious stories that there is a noise complaint. When we have talked about pickleball in some of the community, we've actually gotten one specific noise complaint from one community since I've been tracking it. But again, this is not representative of what's actually going on in the city. I also know we put some outdoor courts up in Newark, near Newark Park, close to McLean Gardens, which I was a little bit honestly surprised we haven't gotten more complaints about. But yeah, we are aware that they're well known in the media that there have been noise complaints, and that's obviously something that we will consider as we go through all the processes of putting in new courts.
And I am not quite familiar with pickleball, but can pickleball courts be dual purpose as tennis and pickleball?
Actually, most of our current tennis courts, with the exception of Turkey Thicket, most of our pickleball courts are dual purpose on tennis courts. And one of the things that has been recommended to us by the pickleball community is that we develop pickleball specific courts, because there is a potential clash with, there's always a little bit of dynamic between the pickleball players and the tennis players. If you go to dpr.dc.gov/pickleball, you'll see the current state of affairs in pickleball. This has been a fun issue for me that has sort of cropped up in the last year to a year and a half. And, it's always interesting as someone who works, I've been in government now for quite a few years, and it's always fun to watch the community sort of organize around an issue. So we're
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
I was not familiar with it at all. And through doing a lot of this Casey Lewis stuff, I've learned or heard from so many people. There's a little network of pickleball players that's in my SMD that plays every week or so. So it's becoming quite a popular thing.
I don't want to call it a cult because that gets people upset, but no, but it's really actually, it's been an interesting program, and a lot of seniors are involved in this, and it's actually good because they get out and do some exercise. And the program is just we have an explosive growth of that. We're also interestingly seeing an explosive growth in our tennis participation as well. So we're certainly trying to, catch up.
Awesome. And really, that was actually all that I have. And we'll be talking more next month, I believe, when the resolution is completed.
Yeah, I'm also aware that the similar Commissioner Handerhan or Chair Handerhan in your neighboring ANC, who has been has been involved in this, is also telling me that there might be another resolution coming from him as well. So we are, yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah, our strategy is so ANC 1B and 5E and 1E. We've been getting together and collectively been working on it. So because it's in Casey Lewis is in my district, 1E is going to pass the resolution first. And then I have asked for both of those other ANCs to pass the same resolution, which is why we wanted the community to be able to provide additional comments, because we want to make sure we're saying the same thing across all of them.
Perfect. Just to give you guys a heads up, we are in the middle of our performance oversight process right now and budget. Our performance oversight hearing has been scheduled for Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. I don't know if you guys want to send someone to testify at our performance oversight hearing, or if anyone in the community would like to, because that's a good way to put the issue on the radar of the council. I mean, we're obviously aware of the issues as an agency, but I've noticed that there is, people do avail themselves of that. There will also be a budget oversight hearing sometime in March or April once the mayor sends her proposal over to the council, her budget proposal over to the council. So it's timely that you're working on this, and I look forward to seeing the resolutions.
Great. Thank you. All right, members of the community, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. If you are calling in rather than joining us via web, you may dial *9 to raise your hand. All right, not seeing any hands from community members. Commissioners, any last questions? All right, seeing none. Mr. Dyer, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate your time.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. And again, keep up the great work, guys. I love the pay we get for this. But
Agreed.
I really greatly appreciate it. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to your emails. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. You as well. All right, next we will move to announcements from commissioners. Do any commissioners have announcements? Please raise your hand. All right, Commissioner Jacobson.
I already talked about the diving board at Banneker, which I'm really excited about, and we'll note once again. I'll also call out that we've passed a couple of resolutions in the past year around the pickup drop-off zone for the School Without Walls, and first one was a request to DDOT to implement an alternative pickup drop-off zone. The second one was a request for DDOT to fix the mistakes that they made. I finally got my answer from DDOT via a FOIA, which is unfortunate that I had to FOIA them to figure out why they haven't finished the work that they promised. But for members of the community, I guess there are some concerns with the existing parking meters that they would have to have a pickup drop-off zone in front of. So I got that FOIA late yesterday, and I'm figuring out how to respond to DDOT and figure out what the plan is to address that. And I mean, at this point, this school will be gone in 6 months and a different school will be in, and they might not even need the bus pickup and drop-off zones. So we'll probably also include some things in my personal testimony to the DDOT oversight hearing to make sure that they can move a little bit more quickly on things like this.
Thank you. Commissioner Ray?
Sorry, I didn't actually have an announcement, but something that Commissioner Jacobson just said. As I recall, that is going to be the swing space used for Tubman Elementary School next year. Is that also your understanding?
Yep, and I met with the Tubman PTO last week because as of right now, DCPS will not be providing a bus from Tubman or for Tubman students further out because Tubman is within a mile of the swing space. And so there are some concerns from those parents at Tubman that'll be at the old Banneker school next year as to how folks that are further out are going to get their kids to school.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there since I remember reading it sometime last year. So thanks for the reminder.
Other announcements from commissioners? All right. I did have two. One I already talked about, which was the KC Lewis Field, so I will skip that for now. The second one is that Howard University's East Tower lot development was slated to come and give a public presentation around the construction plan in Atlantic Plumbing and just kind of make people aware of what was going to happen. They were scheduled to start construction in February 15th. And unfortunately, the Public Space Committee or their public space hearing was pushed from January to February. And so their timeline for starting construction was moved back. At the earliest, it will now be in March. and our public meeting was pushed to a date that we will find out soon. But February 22nd is their new hearing date, and so February 23rd we'll touch base to see when we can start to schedule a new time for them to come present the construction plan to the community. So thank you for everyone's patience, and more details to come. All right, going to members of the community. If anybody has an announcement or would like to share some information, please raise your hand. Again, if anybody is calling in rather than joining us via the web, please dial *9. Seeing none, we can move. Oh, I apologize. I skipped 2 of our regular participants. I apologize profusely. So first we will go, I don't see a member of the Mokers with us. So we'll go straight over to a representative from Councilmember Brianna Doe's office, Estelle McKinney.
Hi everyone. I hope you all had a lovely holiday. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Estelle McKinney, and I am Councilmember Nadeau's Constituent Services Specialist, and I serve ANC 1A, 1E, and the east side of 1B. And so, as Mr. Dyer said, we're getting into performance oversight season, and I really encourage folks to testify. You can testify either in person, written, or leave a voicemail. And you can attend either our committee, which is the Public Works and Operations Committee, or others. So if you have any grievances or any praises for any agencies, this is a great opportunity to share that. And I can send the schedule in the chat, which also says how you can register to testify. And so then also noted right after performance oversight is budget season, and this is another opportunity to give feedback to the council. And then as far as community updates go, trash, we're aware of some neighbors reporting miscollections, particularly in the Parkview and Columbia Heights neighborhoods. And we're tracking this issue really closely and ask that you all report any miscollections into 311 and flag it to me. And so I can raise that to DPW. And many of our residents with rear collection, including the council member, haven't had their trash collection for the past like 3 to 4 collection dates, but I was noted that some constituents did end up getting theirs today, which is great. So the council members also reached out to the DPW director, Director Spriggs, and we've learned that the agency is continuing to work through like some of the backlog right now, and we're continuing to stay on top of it. So I'll give my email as well. So if you have missed collections, please put in 311 and then flag it to me. And then also note public safety. So we expect a first reading on Councilmember Pinto's Secure DC bill on February 6th. So please attend that if you can. And it had a markup recently in the Judiciary Committee as well. And it incorporates some important bills working their way already through the legislative process. So Councilmember Nadeau's reviewing it pretty, analyzing it pretty intensively. There's some components that she commends, as well as some that I think she's going to try to work out through some tweaks on, so they don't have any unintended consequences. And yeah, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions or concerns. I'll drop the performance oversight hearing schedule as well as my email in the chat. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Yes, Commissioner Gallagher.
Yeah, Estelle, just wanted to thank you for those updates and for being so responsive. I think probably anytime any of us have reached out to you. So yeah, thank you so much. And I actually was going to ask about the missed trash pickup. So thank you for preempting my question.
Great. Any other questions from commissioners? All right, seeing none. Members of the community, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. All right, I see we have a question or comment from K.A. Haig. Can we pull them up to panel? All right, K.A. Haig, you should be with us. You're on mute, so if you take yourself off mute, feel free to ask your question.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to follow up with the point about the missed trash collection. Thought this is a good opportunity to just tell the incident I had with serious damage to my car. There were rats nesting, $3,000 of damage to the wiring, and this is quite common now in the city due to the kind of explosive population of rats we have. I mean, the burrows are everywhere in the back. So it's not just a little bit dirty with the missed trash collection. This is serious. I've contacted Councilmember Nadeau's office to urge some approach to dealing with the rat population, like making them infertile, because the treatment one is just not effective. It's just not helping.
K.A. Haig, if you were still talking, you went back on mute and we can no longer hear you.
Comment. Hopefully you heard.
Yes, yes. Oh, if you were done, then yes, we heard it, what you were saying.
Yeah.
No, oh, sorry. Oh.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jacobson.
I was just going to offer my email in the chat to K.A. Haig. I'm happy to chat more about rats and how to get rid of them. So I'm not sure where in the ANC but you live, but I'm also very passionate about reducing the rat population. So feel free to reach out to me. My email will be in the chat in just a second, because I want to figure out other things that we can do and help propose to the council. And sorry, Estelle, go ahead.
No, no worries. Yeah, I was just gonna flag as well my email, so I can like help better assess the situation that you're facing, as well as testify at the Department of Health for rat abatement. And just share your concerns with them as well, because yeah, this is an issue that's affecting the neighborhoods of Ward 1 for sure.
All right, thank you, K.A. Haig. Any other community members have a question or comment? All right, seeing none. Estelle, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and with that, I will pull the agenda back up and we will keep moving along. Great, can you guys see the agenda?
Yep.
Great. All right, so now we will move to official business, which has been organized into our 3 standing committees. The committee chairs will begin by providing a brief update on their committee's activities from January. Then we will walk through each item of business and have 5 minutes per item to present. They'll take questions from commissioners and then audience members until a motion is proposed. So with that, we will start with the Transportation and Public Space Committee, and we will turn it over to Commissioner Jacobson.
All right. So we had one resolution this month from the, or one presentation from the Rock and Roll DC Half Marathon. This is the second year in a row that this commission has considered a resolution supporting that marathon. So we can go over that letter really quick. And then we also just did brainstorming as a committee as to goals that we might have for the coming year as a committee. So looking forward to some of the outcomes from that. So just really quick, the Rock and Roll Half Marathon will be on Saturday, March 16th, 2024. If folks want to register, there's plenty of time to register. The half marathon will be coming through our neighborhood, so this is a good opportunity for you to run around a lot of the city and go through our neighborhood. There will be a band playing. I think they'll be starting around 10:30 a.m. that day, or I think 9:30 a.m. is when they expect the first runners to come through, and that will be more in the Howard area and a little bit further away from residential areas, given feedback from the past. The this section going across Georgia, which is southbound. I'm trying to remember where exactly it cuts across Georgia. Maybe I'll pull up the map really quick. Commissioner Ray.
Generally, it goes down Harvard Street, and I was just going to double check. Is Miss Thomas with us tonight? Is she usually? Is that the
Oh,
organizer?
she is actually here. I see her now.
Yeah, I was going to say you may want to bring her up.
Yeah. She can tell us, remind folks where exactly it'll be. But this is just a quick letter to the Homeland Security Emergency Management Agency supporting it.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Yes, do you want to remind us where exactly it'll be coming through Georgia? My recollection is Harvard too.
Harvard's absolutely right. Yep. They'll be
Okay.
running eastbound, entering at 16th Street, going eastbound along Harvard Street all the way down to 5th. They'll cut around Drew Hall there at the corner of 5th and Harvard, and then going southbound on 5th, all the way down to Bryant Street, and then making a left onto Bryant, and then on Bryant all the way over to North Capitol.
And can you remind us where the band will be playing?
Yes, it's at the corner. It's at Grisham, closer to Howard's football field there, right on the across from the reservoir, facing the reservoir.
I think that's near Commissioner Newland. So he looks excited by it.
I love it every year.
Yep.
Great. Any other questions, Commissioner Ray?
Yeah, and again, thanks, Ms. Thomas, for coming as you have, I believe, every year since this has probably started. Yep. The only question I have was with bus travel going, crossing Harvard, probably along 14th, probably along 11th, probably along Georgia. How does that get coordinated?
We work with WMATA there at the very front of our conversations with the task force. So either they delay some of those routes or they reroute them, and they put all that information on the WMATA website when folks have to schedule their trips. It takes into account those street closures. Now we're usually clear of that about 11:45 noon. So hope, I know it's impactful, but we try to keep, we're pretty good on keeping on time on opening those streets back up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions with respect to the resolution? All right. Commissioner Jacobson, I'm going to turn it over to, we'll consider this full resolution, then you can continue on.
Yep.
So with that, I'll turn it over to members of the public. Is there anybody joining us today from the public that would like to ask a question with respect to the resolution supporting the 2024 Rock and Roll DC Half Marathon? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none. And with no other questions, I will now accept a motion to adopt the resolution supporting the 2024 Rock and Roll DC Half Marathon.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the resolution as written.
Thank you. Is there any dissent? Seeing none, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
And I'll move you to attendee. All right. The second one is, there's another resolution that's from me, separate from the Transportation and Public Spaces Committee, but it's around the Office of Risk Management. So I've had fun over the past month with FOIA. This is why I also FOIA'd the DDOT. I saw a fellow commissioner submitted a FOIA. In conversations with them, they told me that they submitted a FOIA to ORM around how am I driving complaints, because there was one that they had submitted and had not seen any response of, and DPW consistently parked in a crosswalk in an area, so they got curious, and their FOIA turned out that nothing had really happened with that feedback. ORM had emailed DPW 3 times with an automated email. DPW never responded. So there was really no corrective action ever done for the person who was not following traffic safety laws. So I decided to dig through Twitter and find a bunch of other how am I driving requests. I FOIA'd the Office of Risk Management to see what had happened with those requests. And I think I got 17 responses back as of today. And of those 17, there was one follow-up done by the agency that ORM had reached out to. So this testimony overall is just calling out the issues with this program. How am I driving? That process exists so that ORM can work with problematic driving behaviors from different district government employees and correct their actions and track those. But if ORM needs to reach out to the agency to figure out who is driving that vehicle and the agency doesn't respond, then that obviously cannot happen. The other thing that I noticed in my FOIAs is that on average between the 301 requests being submitted and ORM following up with the agency, 39 days pass. I don't know about you, but if it takes someone 39 days to tell me that I parked my car incorrectly, I'm not going to remember what they talked about. I don't usually park my car incorrectly because I drive maybe once a year, but I'm not going to remember, to be honest. So part of this is pointing out that if we want the drivers of district government vehicles to correct their behavior, we need to be a little bit faster with the feedback. And so that's the first 2 portions. And then I raised a few different recommendations. One, that the committee work with ORM to understand their policies for dealing with these requests. Obviously, my data set is incomplete. I FOIA'd ORM. I didn't FOIA all of the responding agencies. Maybe there's something that I'm missing, but 1, what is the process for sending requests to the agency? 2, what are the consequences if an agency never responds? And 3, what steps are necessary for ORM to track complaints for responsible drivers without a response from the responsible agency? The idea here being is if the agency never responds, then how can ORM get that data? The second is that I want the committee to better understand what the process is for getting these requests over to ORM. Is it taking ORM 38 days to forward the request to the responsible agency because it took OUC 38 days to send them the request? Or is it just that they aren't acting on these quick enough? In some cases, it was 70 days before ORM had reached out to the responsible agency. So want the responsible committee here to work with the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee to understand what the process is and how it could get automated if it isn't. And then the other question to OUC is how many How Am I Driving requests have been filed in the past year? The third recommendation, there's a lot of recommendations in here, but asking the committee to ask ORM for the following data: how many How Am I Driving requests have they acted on? So that can be matched up with the How Am I Driving requests that have been filled in the past year by OUC, which can tell you if there is a disconnect between the data going from OUC to ORM. Second question is how many have been responded to by the responsible agency? So that can give us a sense of how are these actually being acted on? And then the last is what is the breakdown per agency? So are there any agencies that are doing a great job in issuing corrective actions? Are there any agencies that aren't doing anything? And maybe we need to go to oversight hearings for those agencies. The fourth recommendation is that the council requires ORM to track the above information on a publicly accessible dashboard so we can know who the problematic agencies are, and I don't need to spend my time FOIAing ORM. And the last is that the committee investigate what it would help or what it would take to help ORM hold dangerous drivers within district government accountable for their actions. And then the last piece is just reminding folks that last year marked a 16-year high of deaths from traffic violence. We've already had 5 people die this year. We need to do more to hold people accountable. If the district government can't hold dangerous drivers accountable, how can we expect that other people are going to be held accountable?
Great. First, let me just say this is very well written. Great job, Commissioner. And a lot of the questions that I also had were you have in here. So I appreciate you spending so much time and putting so much legwork into making so many FOIA requests. I'm sure you love doing it though. So thank you for all your hard work on this. Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Ray.
It's not a question, it was more of a statement because I'm not sure we said it, but the committee and the chairperson for which you'll be testifying, I know it's at the top, but I think just so that public understands who we're really talking about.
Yeah, this is for the Committee on Public Works and Operations. So this is under Chairperson Nadeau.
Good. Does Commissioner Jacobson accept the friendly amendment to insert this here?
I think technically under Robert's Rules of Orders, there's no such thing as a friendly amendment, but I accept it.
I will have to show you where it is in there because your guide says that there are ones. So yes.
Someone told me, someone that I accept it.
You have a book, I gave you one. All right, thank you. Any other questions from commissioners?
I'll just comment that FOIA isn't as difficult or as scary as I thought it was. It was a bit tedious to write this many FOIAs for this thing, but it's kind of fun. And if you're having issues with a particular agency giving you answers to things, you might want to try a FOIA. And if you don't think that they'll give you the answer, sometimes they give you answers when they shouldn't, and take advantage of that.
All right. Members of the community, if you have a question or a comment with respect to the resolution approving testimony for the ORM oversight hearing, please raise your hand. All right. Seeing none, I will now accept a motion to approve the resolution approving testimony for the ORM oversight hearing.
I make a motion with unanimous consent that we approve this resolution as written.
Is there any dissent? All right. Seeing none, the motion passes and the resolution is adopted.
And the last note for me is that our next meeting, and wow, I wrote it down incorrectly, is going to be on Wednesday, February 7th at 7 p.m.
Great. Commissioner Jacobson, I did have a question with respects to the committee's activities over the month. Well, two. One, can you give us any update on the Banneker, the request for a letter to support the Banneker Little League's updates or modifications to the field?
Yes, so I spoke with Supreme last week, and he needed something by Thursday, just for DPRs, for the conversation he was having with DPR. So I sent him a letter and DPR a letter under my personal capacity. If we want, we can make it more official through the commission. I don't know if it really matters to DPR, but we can do that if folks want to. The main contents of the letter that I wrote were that I'm personally generally supportive, but have concerns about removing the park that is behind the baseball area, and would like to see netting go up instead.
The playground?
Yeah, netting
Okay.
to go up to block balls from going from the play area or from the softball field into the playground area.
Okay. Yeah, it would be interesting to have the whole commission kind of talk through it, because one of the things that I was going to talk to DPR is that if they are on board with the recommendations from Banneker, that Casey Lewis is looking to completely redo their playground, and a cost-effective way of updating the playground that needs a massive amount of work is to transplant the equipment that's over there. So if that's something that you, as the sitting commissioner who represents that area, is not really in favor of, then you and I should probably talk to make sure that our talking points are on point.
So Casey Lewis wants to, okay, yeah, maybe we should just talk about that, because you're saying that they want to take the park equipment that's over there and move it to Casey Lewis?
No, I'm just saying if Banneker
I see.
Little League's recommendation is to get rid of that park, I can find a home for it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the second question is just around, like, can you share some of the priorities that the committee wants to take for 2024 that you guys have brainstormed?
Yeah, so a lot of it is around traffic safety. Obviously, that's a big priority for the committee. There was some talk of doing a larger sidewalk or bike lane audit throughout the commission area. I think it would be quite a bit of work, so we would need to get a lot of volunteers to do that. But we did see some good results when we had sidewalk events, in particular SMDs a couple of years ago, because I got a lot of the sidewalks in my area repaired from that. So if commissioners wanted to take point on that in their area, or if there's a particular area that they know is problematic, that would be something that the committee would be excited to partner with you on. Trying to think through what else was super notable. Excuse me. The diving board at Banneker got brought up, obviously. There were some concerns about the trash on Sherman. There tends to be a lot of litter on Sherman, especially around the 2500 block on the west side. That's something that I'm aware of and have talked to DPW about, and DPW won't put it in there because they say it's a residential area. And then just advocating for more open streets, and possibly including a note about the e-bike rebate when that goes online in the newsletter.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Ray.
Sorry, but since you brought up that area of Sherman, I would remind the committee that I believe there is a pilot program that is being looked at for sort of community-based trash cans in places where they are collected in the front. I would highly recommend that particular block as an area, because if there's a space there where it's collected in the front, and it is notoriously where a lot of your trash concerns are. So something to look into.
Oh no, this area of Sherman does not have residences on it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This is the area between Barry and Euclid.
Further, I'm sorry. I'm further north. My fault.
Yeah, it's okay.
Great, thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to Zoning and Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Gallagher.
Good evening, everyone. It's been an honor to chair the Zoning and Economic Development Committee over the past year. I've learned a lot both about zoning and about names that one can be called while trying to thoughtfully bring more neighbors to share in our great neighborhood with us. So thank you to my fellow commissioners for giving me this opportunity, even before I was sworn in as a commissioner myself about a year ago. Unfortunately, taking a new day job a few months ago renders me unable to give this role sufficient attention and time. So I will be nominating a new and very capable chair during the applicable portion of this meeting. That said, the committee did not meet in January, and its next regularly scheduled meeting, very romantically, is February 14th. That said, I will defer to the next chair on whether to keep that date or potentially move it if that means potentially greater attendance by the public. Happy to take any questions or comments, but no substantive updates on zoning and economic development this month. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Well, Commissioner Gallagher, let me just say it's been great to work with you over the year. You've been a fantastic chair of the committee. Appreciate all of your hard work in doing it, and you will be missed, but I know that you're not going far, that you'll still be a member of the committee, so look forward to continuing to still work with you.
Thank you very much, Chair Footer. I do look forward to continuing to be a thorn in the side of, being a participant in the committee under a new chair for the coming year. Thanks so much.
All right. Any questions or comments from members of the public with respect to the Zoning and Economic Development Committee? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we will move on to Public Safety and Engagement Committee. Commissioner Newland.
Thank you, Chair Footer. So this committee, we did meet earlier this month, and no kind of official business resolutions that came out of it, but we did just have like a goal setting discussion in terms of like what we wanted to focus on for the new year. Wide ranging discussion, but I think broadly just reinvigorating the committee meetings themselves, making sure that we get, more folks that we have questions about like the workings of different agencies or different things going on, that we're a little bit more aggressive in having folks come. And then there was also a focus on the actual public engagement side of the committee versus just public safety, and talking about doing things in the community on the ground, whether it's doing different walks and things like that. So a lot of different ideas. Still have to kind of solidify the next steps and what we're going to be doing and who's going to take what. But again, a lot of great ideas, and excited for what we're going to be working on over the next year. So I think with that said, again, no official business or anything. So our next meeting is going to be Monday, February 12th. And as always, anybody and everyone is welcome to join. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? Right, seeing none. Moving to the public, any members of the public who have questions for the Public Safety and Engagement Committee, please raise your hand. Great, seeing none. All right, thank you, Commissioner Newland. So now we'll move on to elections of the executive officers. In accordance with ANC 1E's bylaws, the commission shall elect a chairperson, a vice chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer to serve one-year terms during each January general body meeting. Each candidate for office shall be nominated by a member of the commission, and commissioners are able to self-nominate. With that, at this time, I will accept nominations for commissioners for chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. Commissioner Newland.
Chair Footer, I would like to nominate the following slate of commissioners: Commissioner Footer for chair, Commissioner Brown for vice chair, Commissioner Jacobson for secretary, and Commissioner Ray for treasurer.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any other nominations? Any further nominations? All right, seeing none. With one nomination for each position, Commissioner Footer is elected chair, Commissioner Brown is elected vice chair, Commissioner Jacobson is elected secretary, and Commissioner Ray is elected treasurer by acclamation. All right. Next, we will move on to committee chair appointments. In accordance with ANC 1E's bylaws, the commission shall appoint committee chairs to one-year terms. The commission is electing to make the appointments during our January general body meeting. Each candidate shall be nominated by a member of the commission, and commissioners are able to self-nominate. Nominees do not have to be sitting commissioners, but must be a resident of the commission area. At this time, I will accept nominations for chairs of ANC's standing committees. Commissioner Gallagher.
Thank you, Chair Footer. I'd like to nominate the following slate of candidates. That's Commissioner Newland to chair Public Safety and Engagement. That's Commissioner Jacobson to chair Transportation and Public Space. And finally, the aforementioned candidate I hinted about, the very capable Commissioner Ray to chair Zoning and Economic Development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further nominations? All right, seeing none. With one nomination for each position, Commissioner Newland is appointed as chair of the Public Safety and Engagement Committee. Commissioner Jacobson is appointed the chair of the Transportation and Public Space Committee, and Commissioner Ray is appointed as chair of the Zoning and Economic Development Committee by acclamation. All right, well, that takes care of our official business for this evening. Having no other business before the commission, I'll now accept a motion to adjourn.
I motion with unanimous consent that we adjourn our January meeting until our February 28th meeting.
Is there any dissent? All right, seeing no dissent, the motion is passed and we are adjourned. Before we go, very quickly, as Commissioner Jacobson just mentioned, the next general meeting of ANC 1E is Wednesday, February 28th, and the Committee of the Whole is Tuesday, February 20th. Announcements and other information about ANC 1E is available at anc1e.org. Again, that is anc1e.org. Please feel free to contact any commissioner with any questions, and thank you very much for your time this evening.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks all.